friends. Every work of art, no matter how wild or weird, starts as an interpretation of reality. But here's the thing, there's a big difference between something that merely copies reality and something that actually reassembles it with purpose. That's what real authorship is about. It's when an artist doesn't just remix existing trends or moods, but threads everything together into one cohesive vision, a world that feels like them. The problem today is that this kind of authorship is slowly disappearing. Our entertainment industry, especially giants like Disney or Netflix, has started treating art less like expression and more like a product line. Everything feels like it's been tested, marketed, sanitized, and squeezed into a predictable flavor of the month. One year, it's superheroes. Next year, it's true crime, then dystopia, then nostalgia. It's like watching a creative assembly line disguised as culture. And while that strategy works for business because formulas sell, it also kills the very thing that makes art timeless: voice. When everything looks polished but nothing feels personal, the soul gets lost in the packaging. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Even when a creator makes something brilliant, the system tries to trap them inside their own success. The industry doesn't really want creativity, it wants repeatability. So if a film hits big, executives immediately say, do that again, but bigger. But no artist wants to live in a creative loop. The same spark that made their first success possible is also the one that drives them to move forward. That's why sequels or follow-ups to deeply personal projects often feel strange. Think of Joker 2 or even Megalopolis. Both are attempts by their creators to step out of the shadow of what came before. They might not always work in the traditional sense, but they're reaching for something different. They're proof that real creativity isn't about repeating magic, it's about chasing a new one, even if it risks falling flat. And honestly, that's what makes art exciting. You're not supposed to hit a home run every time. Sometimes a work fails commercially or critically, but it still leaves a mark. Because real art at its core isn't about being perfect, it's about engagement. It's about making the audience think, feel, or even argue. You can make something messy, even divisive, but if people walk away changed or just questioning what they saw, you've succeeded. Leaving an impression doesn't always mean being original. In fact, originality is often overrated. Many masterpieces are built on iteration, refining old ideas until they feel new again. What matters isn't how new your story is, but how deeply it connects. You could take the oldest tale in the world, but if you inject your own truth into it, it becomes fresh again. The real failure in art isn't when something is hated, it's when it's forgettable, when it's so safe, so algorithmically polished that it doesn't inspire any reaction at all. That's when creativity dies quietly in the background noise of content overload. So maybe the real challenge for modern creators isn't to be the most original or the most successful, but to be authentic, to resist the pressure to please everyone, and instead build something that at least a few people will feel deeply. Because art isn't supposed to be fast food. It's supposed to be a meal that lingers, that stays in your mind long after it's over. And when we chase that kind of engagement, when we create to say something instead of just sell something, that's when we move from content to culture. And that, my friends, is when art actually lives.